friends. So, this month we've been talking about our relationship with food. It's one thing to, really hope for change, and it's, obviously another thing completely to really actively take a role in creating change in our own lives. And so in January, we had talked a lot about procrastination and ways to get ourselves into action. Um, and a lot of those can apply as well to food. But we know that our relationship with food is just a completely different animal, right? We all have our own sort of life experiences, our own history, our own food preferences. And we have this, I don't know, 250, $300 billion weight loss industry that's telling us that we're not the first person to ever struggle with this, and we're certainly not going to be the last. So we need to go easy on ourselves and be kind and really give ourselves some grace. So you really can change your relationship with food. And today I thought we'd go over some tips to help you do that. But of course, before we do that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nancy Brooker. I'm a relationship and stress coach. I help women who feel stuck in some sort of challenging relationship, regardless of what it is, spouse, child, family, coworker, food, whatever, especially that relationship with self, to really become clear about what's holding you stuck, and feel to bring in that clarity and that calm and that connection so you can experience all of your relationships with more joy and ease. So here are my tips, my 5 tips. Number 1, try and start paying attention to your hunger cues. And this sounds like it would be really easy to do. We talked last week about some questions that you can ask yourself. How do you feel? How do I feel before I eat? Am I hungry? Am I bored? Am I thirsty? What's going on for me? Am I stressed? Am I emotional? Am I actually hungry? Do I actually feel those hunger cues in my body? What else is going on? And this is actually, so I think it's a lot harder, like I said, to do than you think. And it's funny, I still remember when my kids were little, my dad getting upset with one of my kids because he was full and he didn't want to eat the rest of his dessert. And my dad was really upset, and he's like, you can't leave the table till you finish everything on your plate. And I was like, wow, it's dessert. He doesn't have to finish it. But at the same time, I really get it because, they came from a background where every bit of food you had, of course, nothing could go to waste. So we sort of start out with these really being able to pay attention to its inherent cues in our body, but things happen around us and different influences sort of change that for us, right? So there's a lot of things factoring in that, but just really try and sit and pay attention. Okay, I'm going to eat something. Am I really hungry? Do I feel like there's something else going on? Is there something else in this situation? I'm not sure you're going to like number 2, or maybe you're going to love it, but really give yourself permission to eat whatever you'd like. And this, I know this sounds really counterintuitive, but the thing is that when you look at the research, it actually shows that the more you deprive yourself, the more you restrict and put things off limit, you actually set yourself up for binge eating and for really constantly thinking about food. It's always on your mind, and so even more unhealthy behaviors. So of course, everything in moderation. You're not going to have 4 packs of, I don't know, Smarties or whatever it is your food, your thing of choice that you like to have when you have a craving. But allow yourself the grace to have a little bit of something if that's what you want, so that you're not getting that restricted focus where you're then going to want to binge. So my next tip is all about emotional intelligence. So I don't know if you've heard of this, probably have. So the definition says the ability to understand your emotions and those of others and behave appropriately in different situations. So being aware of our emotions and then being able to respond in a healthy way, right? It's something that we actually need in any relationship And our relationship with food is no different. So, I mean, it's so important. Our physical bodies and our minds and our emotions are all interconnected. You really can't look at one without looking at all of them. And our emotions, really, they impact all of our eating behaviors and our health in general. I mean, I think stress, I think the latest stat that I read was that they estimated it contributes to, is a major contributor to like 80% of today's major diseases. It's stress, right? And really, when you get a food craving, it's that same sort of response in your brain. It's that stress response that you need to have something, you want it. So, really working on our emotional intelligence is gonna take you really far when you're trying to change your relationship with food. And in the upcoming weeks, we're going to talk about some ways that you can do that. Um, Another one that it's not this. I'm always saying this. For me, go for the low hanging fruit. Go for something easy. Go for something little bite sized chunks. No pun intended. um, because it's the simple little wins that are going to keep us motivated and help us move forward. Whereas if you um, just all of a sudden are going to do all of these changes in your life, it's not sustainable. So pick a few things. Maybe you're going to increase your fiber. Maybe you're going to increase your water intake. Fantastic thing to do. Increase your fruits and vegetables, protein intake, whatever that is for you. But don't try and do everything at once, because you're really setting yourself up for failure. I mean, of course, unless you have some major health issue that you really, you've been directed by your doctor that you need to do this. Try and set yourself up for success. Pick that low-hanging fruit. Try and do some simple little things. And, don't do everything at once. And then number 5 is just to eat intuitively and mindfully, right? So eating intuitively is really just about making peace with all different kinds of foods, and rather than labeling good, bad, whatever, just really paying attention to how it makes you feel, and what it does for your body, and is it right for you as an individual, because everybody's different, right? And then being mindful is really it's really about bringing awareness to your eating, right from going to the grocery store to prepping your food to eating your food, all of those sorts of things. And we will actually, in one of the upcoming sessions, talk about mindful eating. So next week we will do a little bit of tapping on food cravings. So emotional freedom techniques. One of many reasons that I love it so much is that it helps us process our emotions, right? And I don't know about you, but I would say that a good chunk of the time when I've eaten something that I didn't, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? We talked about that last week. Why did I eat that? It's almost always because of an emotional or stressful reaction to something. So I love that the tapping can help you through that. And we will actually go through the process, just to give you an idea of how to do that. And remember, all relationships take a bit of work, and your relationship with food is no different. So, things didn't develop into what they are overnight, and they're probably not going to change overnight. But that doesn't mean that we can't start taking the small steps to move ourselves forward. So I hope that was helpful for you. I look forward to talking to you again next week. I'd love to hear any comments that you have, anything you want to share. Feel free to message me, leave a comment below. Don't forget to grab your freebies and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to talk to you soon. Come over and visit me at Living in Yes too. All right, so good to see you. We'll see you next week for some tapping. All right, bye now.